Hello again, we're back. We've let it all dry for a fair few hours because I've been for dinner. I'm actually wearing quite a lot of the dinner, my bad. The nose, the spinner cone is completely dry brilliantly. So we're going to affix that, and I'm going to use a Rebel contactor to do that. I think the contactor should be fine. Let's take it off the glue tack. And let's just give it a trial fit because well, I have had this fit before, so it looks fine to me. Which is the best side for it? I think that's the best side up, just that way. So we will put a dot contactor in there, push it on. That should be fine. It should hold there. No, it doesn't feel like it wants to hold for some reason. Let's put a bit of contactor here on each of these edges and go again. Now it's gone. Just needs a bit of pressure because what polycement and contactor do is they melt both sides of the join. So this side will be slightly malleable, and so will this. As you push the two together, you form one united piece of plastic. That's why it's important that there's actually no paint on one of the surfaces. But of course there is paint on the prop. But she's looking better. And we can see the first layer of varnish went on well. What we're going to do is a second coat of varnish. So that's the dry brush. This is the wet brush. It's all fine. Just give this a shake. So this the Vallejo obviously has the stopper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 this time. Now it's a bit more because I want it to be a slightly stronger matte layer. That's all. So it's the consistency of milk in here basically. We can just see it's just like milk. And take a wing, just brush outwards that way, making sure any air bubbles disappear, making sure any areas where, so if I leave this ghostly look, it'll dry too thick. Just going to keep it moving, keep working it in. The cockpit can be done as well, it doesn't really harm anything. The cockpit was actually done before it was put in place, so there's more than enough the upper side of the wing to start taking it underneath. The wheel's completely dry now, so the whole wheel can be done. Just taking it along, making sure it isn't in any of the cartridge ejection ports here, because if it's in those it'll dry solid. If it dries solid in them, we'll never be able to put any weathering effect. Anywhere where it's getting too in a place, because it's that consistency of milk, you can blow it off, blow it out of any detail. That's working well on the gun ports. So this is the second coat, as I said, and the second coat is perhaps the most important one. The first one has to be smooth. The second one has to be smooth and even. You want to make sure you get the same coverage at all angles, areas and spots. I'm doing the tail wheel as well this time because that's had a couple of hours to dry. I'm working around that one finger point. My fingers aren't actually that clean. I always tend to wash my hands before I start modelling, but I've just come in from dinner. I wasn't driving my car, so I've been a bit flustered. I was driving someone else's car, borrowed a car. because of a whole other project going on. Let's take this excess off this wing. So these gun ports here have really picked up the varnish. So if I don't brush both ways, I'm going to have issues. I will need to re-drill the guns before we're done, because this stuff does dry as a solid plastic acrylic layer. But that's the second coat. It's as simple as that. That goes to the dry line. There's actually a lot of from those 8 drops, there's a lot left, but it was more important to get the right consistency than the right amount. So this will dry as a matte finish now. We don't need to touch it, we don't need to alter it, we can just tidy up after ourselves a little bit. And what I will consider is putting on the lights. So these lights here, these 2 red markers, have this piece to go in them, so we'll sort those out. The other thing I wanted to just look for, and you'll have to forgive me for not planning this ahead, so let me find this. So let's just see if I can find a piece. So I can't find it. And what I'll do is I'll link this video into the description below. So the video I'm looking at is a Channel 4 documentary about the Spitfire. It's the one I mentioned maybe before, and it has this excellent shot of the 4 barrels of the gun on the side of a Hurricane. It is a Hurricane, it is not a Spitfire. Despite the documentary being about the Spitfire, it's a Hurricane, and what they've got is the doped canvas. So what I'm going to make the doped canvas out of is a good old piece of masking tape. I'm just looking round for the masking tape, because everything keeps going missing at the moment. Keys, brain cells, everything. So let's put some of this away. Don't need that. Don't need those. Have you guys seen it? Do you know where it is? Have you seen it? He's vanished. Anyway, what I'll do is I will stick them to this piece of card and I will paint them red. So let's get red paint, just like so. It's in here. It's in there. It's here. Comes from someone helping tidy up, I think, because I found a few things in the wrong places. Right, so let's stick this down. We don't need much because we're only going to cover 2 guns, so just an amount like that. And doped canvas is actually quite thick stuff. It is actually quite an impressive thickness. So this is the Humbrol acrylic red, and I want a fairly thick layer, as it's not killing off the yellow of the tape fully, but it will in time. So this will literally need tonight 5 or 6 coats. 5 or 6 coats. And what I'm hoping is that it remains sticky enough to go straight on the model. after it's been on this surface for a while. If this doesn't work, then what I'll do is I will get the same technique, but I'll do it on a piece of plastic. So I'll get a piece of plastic packaging like this. I'll stick it to the plastic packaging and then paint it several times before we let it dry. So that just needs to stand out the way. We're done with the second layer of varnish, so the varnish can go away, and we can just leave it now. The final thing we'll consider today, because it will happen when that varnish has gone off, are the decals. So let's have a look. I haven't really looked at the decals beyond the control one. So that's where the control one was. Obviously I've got 2 C's, 2 G's, a VY. So they want me to put the G on, but the C is present. I don't know why the C is present. That must be for another kit. So we could divide these letters up and have a completely fictional letter. The actual kit, as the artwork says, wants VY followed by a G. But I could have VYG or VYC separately. I'm just looking for the decal item. So they've got the hexagonal shape, this hexagonal shape here, which goes on the tail. We can see it better in this artwork. Can we see it here? So that artwork showing you that decal. We're not applying that decal. We can see the effect of gunfire on the doped fabric. That's what we're going to go for. I'm going to perhaps try some of this silver stippling that the leading edge has been cutting through the air. So what else have we got here? So we've got the number 12 roundels for the top of the wing. They've actually provided the doped fabric shape. Look, they're actually there. But doing it as decals will make them incredibly thin, which wouldn't be brilliant. They've given us stepping plates as well. These will go on as decals. But in future I may paint those on. In fact, they may be painted on this model because it seems like a really easy thing to paint on. And maybe I should have done that before we'd done the varnish layers, but we'll see. The varnish, by the way, is almost done as we're speaking. I haven't put yellow tips on the edge of the propeller, despite it being on here. My reason being, I didn't fancy them. I didn't want them. This is a fictional rundown. The red, white and blue on the tail we can certainly apply. We'll apply those. Number four model is this piece of text up here, which goes up by the aerial on this side, closest to camera, so just up there. We can see we've not done bad on keeping the shape about right. We've got the right shape here, we've got the right shape here and to there. That left hand wing is different there, but no big deal. We're going to put a roundel there anyway. Number 6 is this yellow square. I did debate whether to do this yellow square as the decal, or should I mask it off and paint it yellow. I actually decided early on to go with that one being a decal, because we'd have the roundel decal, then that square, and I thought that would be busy enough as it was. What we'll do as a final step just now, if we can find them, is we will remove some light on the situation. Remove the protection on the windscreen, the masking. pair of tweezers. You can see how the masking comes off. So you can see how clear that's remained despite the multiple layers we've worked on. These are the most annoying little bits of paper to then work with. So there's the front windscreen clear, but there's a little bit of over paint on the top. That will come off easily enough. Because it's enamel, it will just scrape away. Just to sharpen up the lines. I may do it with that craft knife in a moment. But you can see through the glass, you can see through the windscreen, you can see the vertical lines. So let's try with the canopy. Kind of good. That's good from this side. Got a little bit of something yellow on there. I don't know what that is. There we go. See the canopy now. You can see it clearly. Stuck all over me. Little bits of windows stuck everywhere. So there's how it looks. But we've got something yellow just there. You can just make it out in this focus line. So let's just scrape. No idea what that is. So we've got a little bit of fogging. Do you remember I said that this canopy had lifted? It was glued with PVA and then strapped down, and it shifted up. It seems to have shifted up because of this cloudy window here. So this cloudy window is really giving the indication that it didn't stick down well. It seems to me that the PVA lifted up and capillaried up inside the window and it's gone solid inside. There's no way I can get it off. There's no way I can fix it. So the hurricane this may be the practice hurricane, and we may have to get another one and do a full thingy on it. I quite like how the belts have come out in there. We can see how they've sort of come to fruition. I'm trying to see on the screen what it looks like. You can tell that I'm touching it, that the second coat of varnish has already dried. So this is ready next week for decals, more dope fabric. What I'll do between now and the next video is I will put repeated levels of red paint on here, so we'll leave the red out. I'll put these away. I may do a tidy up or two with the tail wheel because it's not brilliant. Other than that, decals will be next Friday, Saturday, and then weathering, another weathering session. So I did live stream the 110's weathering session, but it wasn't filmed with the close-up high definition camera, so that will be done this way now. Final news was the camera stand. I had a camera stand offered to me. I was going to use it. Hasn't turned up. So it's a bit of a shame. So yeah, expect to find me next time. I think the only things I will do off camera are the fitting of these glass looking items into each of these light ports on either wing, and the multiple layers on here. Other than that, see you next time.